what's up? Marty here with GuitarJams.com. I was just working what's called the major pentatonic scale. It's that sweeter sounding scale that's going to work in a more majory or a happier sounding progression. A lot of guys that are learning how to solo, learning how to improvise, are working on the minor pentatonic in the beginning, which is great. It's the one you're going to use the most. But there's that sweeter sounding scale that's used a lot by, most, like the Ulmer brothers use it like crazy, but it's in everything. It's in everything. It's just that sweeter sounding scale. So it actually relates. I was checking out an email earlier today, and someone was asking about the relative minor, relative major. And if you've never heard of that before, it's fine. But in the major pentatonic and the minor pentatonic, there's a relationship there. And what I like to think of is you got to know your roots really well. But so I was playing a progression that was D major, C to G. It's just a real common set of chords. D, C, G. And so, I want to know where my D root is. Ultimately, I want to know all my notes really well, but if I plugged in, the D note on the E string is on the 10th fret. Okay, and so most people in the beginning, they'd plug in the D minor pentatonic, and I've got this loop. And which, it rocks, it sounds great, but sometimes it calls for that sweeter sound, which sounds like this. Alright, and that's that sweeter sound, and really the cool thing about it is if you do it the way, I haven't seen other teachers necessarily teach it with this way, but basically if it's a minor rock sounding thing, you put your index finger on the root and you plug in that pentatonic scale. But if you want that sweeter sound, you're going to put your pinky, Dr. Evil style, on the root and play that shape below right here. So your index finger would be on the 7th fret and your pinky would be on the 10th fret, and then 7, 9, 7, 9, 7, 9, 7, 10, 7, 10. And so if you look at that, I'm playing that pentatonic shape but thinking of my pinky as the root instead. So someone might say, well, wait a minute, isn't that the B, because B's on the 7th fret there, isn't that the B minor pentatonic scale, Marty? And I would say, why, yes it is. It's the exact same scale. The only difference is when you play this set of notes over a B minor type of chord, you're thinking of that 7th note as home bass or the root. But if you play that same set of notes over a D major chord, you're thinking of where your pinky is as home bass. And so that's the difference. But what that's called is the relative major, relative minor. And I think of it as it's like the bizarro world of minor and major. They're like the mirror images or opposites of each other. But so some of the cool stuff is you can plug in that D major pentatonic over a D major progression, and you can even do a lot of the same bends, like the G string bend. But the licks tend to resolve, and they sound completely different, but they resolve really well to where the roots are in that position, which would be on the the 10th fret of the E string, and the 7th fret of the G string, and then the 10th fret of the high E again. Like that, instead of it over B minor. But so one thing, there's a lot of theory. It's really valuable to know the relative major, relative minor of anything. And so if you wanted to know that, because it also means that a D major chord and a B minor chord always sound good together as well. So it's for theory, when you're writing a song, if you know the relative minor, it's a good chord to go to change the mood or the tone of the progression. So the easiest way to figure that stuff out is you just take a note and consider it the major, and if you want to know what its relative minor is, put your pinky there and go down 1, 2, 3 frets, and that note will be the relative minor. So let's just try it out. As an example, here's kind of a more tricky one. if I put my pinky on E on the double dots right here, and someone said, well, what's the relative minor of E? E major. Well, I'd put my pinky on E and go down to that other shape, and it would be the 9th fret, which is a C sharp. So that means a C sharp minor chord and an E major chord go together really well. And they don't have to, follow each other or even be in the same song, but you'll know in your head that those chords are always going to go well together. And then you just do the reverse. If you play a minor chord, like for instance if I play A minor, and I like that chord and I want to I'm trying to figure out, I have a progression that kind of revolves around A minor and I want to know a good chord for the chorus maybe or for another section, I could at least in my mind go, okay, I'm going to try the relative major. Where is it? Well, you just do the opposite. It's the minors right there, so the major is going to be 1, 2, 3 up now, and that's a C note. So C major is the relative major of A minor. Or vice versa, A minor is the relative minor of C major. And you see that all the time in those open chords, like C down to A minor, or the opposite. Just like that. Alright? Let's go back to that D major progression now, because I want to show you the extension of that D major pentatonic. So right off the bat, you should just start experimenting with this. And here's another thing to expand on with that major pentatonic knowledge of just being able to plug that scale in to try it out. I have a D major sounding progression. D major, C major, and G major. And what I think you should also do, besides just trying to put your pinky on the root and plugging that scale in, is this. Know where D is on the A string. Know where your root is on the A string for this major pentatonic. I'm just going to tell you it's on the 5th fret of the A string. And now you can do this, what you might have thought is the B minor pentatonic extension, but we're going to do it as the D major pentatonic extension, which is no different fingering, no different notes, nothing. It's the exact same thing, except it's being played over a D major style progression, so the licks sound different. You're going to have to get used to it. But so it's going to be like this. Here's the extension. The root is on the 5th fret of the A string, but we're going to go 5, 7 on the E string. And then 5, 7 on the A string. And then slide with our ring finger up a whole step. Now we're just in that pentatonic that we were working. So 7, 9 on the D. 7, 9 on the G, and then slide with our ring finger on that G up a whole step. Then index finger onto the 10th fret of the B, and then we go 10, 12 on the B with the first and ring finger, and then 10, 12 with first and ring finger on the high E. And then the opposite, ring finger on the 11th fret of the G, slide with that finger. Slide with the ring finger. But just make sure if you're going down, it resolves to that A string 5th fret. So you want to work that up and down. Listen to that over this progression.